Hey, I'm still dancing. I'm still dancing, y'all. I am still super excited about this show. This is the Doing the Doctorate podcast. Have you ever thought about entering a doc program? Better yet, have you thought about entering a doc program, but you've been so frustrated during the program that you felt like giving up? Have you ever been in a program and you're almost at the point of completion and it just seems like it's never going to happen? Yeah, I know that rings true for some of you. This show is for you. This show is going to inspire and inform you. Over the summer, we have some information to share in this special series Doing the Doctorate Podcast, the series for entitled Doctors in Residence. We're bringing in some doctors to share some information with you and to answer some questions. So stay tuned. Join us. Hey, everybody. Hey. So excited that you are here. I know I miss her too. Dr. O is enjoying her summer, but she'll be back in the fall, and we'll be right back to talking about doing the doctorate with our special segments and everything. We're going to have some new stuff in the fall too, so hang back. But now this summer, we have a special series called Doctors in Residence, and I can't wait to tell you about it. Before we jump into today's podcast, let me just remind you, you want to like, share, follow, all of that good stuff on all of my social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We are everywhere. Yes, we're coming to TikTok soon. We are everywhere. So if you want to continue to get important information that's going to help inspire you and inform you along your doctoral journey, make sure you follow me, Dr. Kesslin. Follow, share, subscribe. YouTube, we're there as well. So make sure you join us today for this session of Doctor in Residence. I am so super excited about my special guest for today. Why? Because she was one of my clients with the PhD consultants, and she is now Dr. Tiffany McBean. And the crowd goes wild. Let me tell you about Dr. McBean, and I'm so proud to call her Dr. Tiffany McBean. She is passionate about doing life in a manner that brings her inner peace and fulfillment. As a mother of two, a wife, and a pastor, she believes in balance and adjusting to the demands of her life. She is living life abundantly with the understanding that a lack of hope stifles progress. She seeks to encourage others to look forward to brighter horizons that are ahead. Dr. McBean's educational background includes a bachelor's degree in English from the University of the West Indies, the Master's of Science degree in Management and Educational Programs from Nova Southeastern University, and the Doctorate in Curriculum Instruction Assessment and Evaluation from Walden University. I am so excited to have Dr. McBean with us today. Hey, Dr. McBean.
Hey, Dr. Kesslin, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction and for inviting me. I am blessed to call you my friend.
I am blessed to call you my friend and Doc, when did you cross the doctoral lines?
I defended in February.
Yes.
In February of this year, just a few months ago.
Wow. So listen, I'm going to jump right in. I want to make sure we get the most out of our time with you. Thank you for joining us, Dr. McBean. Tell me, just jump in, your doctoral journey. What influenced you to get your doctoral degree? Why would you enter into such a rigorous life? Talk to me about your doctoral journey.
It's easy to say it occurred by accident because of how I was introduced to the idea of doing a doctorate.
Mhm.
I am from Jamaica, and we had a Caribbean leadership conference in 2019. And I live in the US, but I was invited to come in and share
Yes.
on leadership in education. But the panel that I sat on was full of doctors. I was introduced as Mrs. Bean, and everybody else was a doctor in their field. And I thought to myself, how did I get here? Why was I invited here? But because of experience I have in education, how I do instruction and pedagogy and wellness, I was invited in. Having met all those doctors, I thought to myself, one day I will be an expert in my field, having
Yes.
completed a doctorate in education. And
Yes.
that's how it happened.
So you said you were on a panel and everybody else was a doctor, and then they said Mrs. McBean, and you felt
That's
some
what
kind
happened.
of way.
Oh, whoa. But
It's
I had to
great.
face it for myself and recognize that I was invited because of the experience I have and the information I had to impart. But
Yes.
there were letters behind that that said PhD or
Yeah.
doctor. And I figured, and it was very interesting too, because there was a Dr. Michael McBean on the
Hmm.
panel, a relative of my
Mm.
husband, and we got to talking a little bit. He works at University of the West Indies.
Yes.
And just knowing what was available on the other side of a doctorate, I decided to embark on that journey.
So ultimately, you chose to enter a doc program because you wanted to be viewed on this in the same line, right, with others who had their doctorate. There was some satisfaction that you got, right, with having that doctorate, and that's not a bad thing. But
Right. And
then,
delving deep into the idea of a curriculum and where
yeah,
the problems were and what the possible gap is in
yeah.
that circle and how can I address that?
So it's so interesting because I hear often, and even for me, Dr. McBean, my interest in getting a doctorate was initially not to resolve and not to address issues related to clergy and domestic violence, but I saw one of my mentors with her doctoral robe and her bars, and I was like, I don't know what that is or how she got it, Dr. Edith Clay Fraser, but I want that. There was
Yes.
just something about it. And then, as you get closer to a real reason for getting a doctorate, you realize, yeah, I can make a difference with this degree.
Yes.
I see some issues that need to be resolved and I can make a difference. Yeah,
I wanted to add something to that as well because
sure.
being from Jamaica, I pour into the education system there. When I
Yeah.
did my master's in management of educational programs,
Mm.
I created a it's almost like a homeschool packet. That's what it was in my mind as I was putting
Mhm.
it together. But the problem was getting students school ready. So my
Mhm.
focus was on preschool and early childhood. Having created that, I brought it to my country, spoke to ministers in education, and now my school program is, I should remove the air quotes because now it's a curriculum that's used in the private schools in Jamaica.
Mm.
How do we get our students school ready? So when I met all these doctors on the panel, I went back to the Ministry of Education to ask some questions. What do you need? So I embarked on the journey knowing what the end product was going to be. I
Mm.
wanted to fit into a market, and I didn't want to do something that wouldn't be useful to my country. And I asked the question. And what I thought I wanted to do was not what they needed. I wanted
Mm.
something in learning and technology or early childhood education. That's not what they needed. They needed
Yeah.
curriculum. And I thought to myself, how boring. I don't want to do a doctorate in that. It's going to take so long. It's
Yeah.
tedious. It's hard. I want to do something fun. And then I had to decide, do I do what is fun for me, or do I do what's needed? And when
Wow.
you do something that's needed, you're not
Mhm.
only providing a service, but you're providing support for yourself in terms of money coming in and always being relevant. So I opted to do exactly what my country needed, a PhD or an EDD, they said either, but I selected a PhD in curriculum instruction, assessment, and evaluation.
That's powerful. So you decided to fun could come later. Right now, you're going to meet the need. That is such a service mentality, right? You know that I believe that the degree is to provide you greater opportunity to serve. That's just my, that's just my framework, my foundation. And you chose to study a specific area because you were told that there's a need.
Yes.
What a powerful testimony of your heart to serve, right?
Thank
I also believe that having a doctorate is really a an answer to a call to minister, because we're both
you. Yes.
ministers. We have that in common. But having the degree allows you to minister in a unique way, right? You can minister to people who would never, who may not hear um, what you have to say from a pulpit, but they will hear what you have to say through an article or
Yes.
through
Yes.
through a presentation. So really it's an answer to a call to minister. It's just putting on a different hat, literally and figuratively.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I recently published in the International Journal of Social Sciences and Review, volume 6, number 6.
Yes.
And
Yes. I'm so proud
it
of
took
you.
me by surprise as well. As you
Yeah.
said, doing a doctorate opens the doors for you to be able to find the platform to serve. So
Yes.
as soon as you find, and many students go into the doctoral program knowing that they want to elevate in the sphere that they're already serving,
Yes.
and having those letters do open the doors.
Absolutely. So how did you choose? We know how you chose to pursue a doctorate. How did you choose the school?
Oh,
And what were some of the best parts of your doctoral journey?
well, choosing the school was easy. It
Mm,
was easy. I won't name the schools that I thought of going to, but what was important to me was that it had to be completely online.
mhm,
So that narrowed the scope. I could not leave my family. I could not leave my church or my husband. I didn't want something that was hybrid where I
mm,
had to go into some space face to face. That was not an option for me. So
mhm,
I had to narrow it down. Then I decided, do I want an EDD or a PhD? And some online programs did not offer a PhD, and that's what I wanted. I
mhm,
didn't want an EDD. I didn't want to focus on what the problem was. I didn't want to focus on solving or creating a product to answer a problem. I wanted to know what the literature says. What
mm.
does the literature say? And what is not yet covered? So knowing that, it was easy to select Walden because it hit all those bars.
So important to know. And I talk about this in my book, when doing the doctorate, how to know where to go and how to
Which
begin to
I have
win.
that book.
And it talks about basically the first step is understanding your life. Like
Yes.
what you know, you want to get a degree, but your life has, you have certain parameters around your life. And you, perfect example. You knew what you wanted to study, right? Based on the needs in your country. Now, what university, and here are my life circumstances, what university has allows me to study that
Mhm.
and gives me the flexibility that I need for my life. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So you landed at Walden. Any particular challenges? What were your biggest, let me, before I go to challenges, what were your biggest positive experiences? And then some of your biggest challenges. Talk to us about that.
The positive experiences at Walden is the way the program is structured. You get to choose if you want to go fast paced or slow.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to take breaks or no breaks, you get the flexibility of deciding what you want to do. You chart the course. So if you're the student who knows the end product already, and you are good with project management, figuring out what you need to do on the back end on your own, that school was good for me.
Mm.
So I selected 2 courses every 11 weeks. So it's that fast pace. You have to, the rigor is there, the texts were there,
Right.
the support was there, professors who I could contact at any time, right? Office hours. They would respond by calling. I remember there was a hurricane in the state that I live in, and Walden contacted me. During COVID, they contact their students. It was really, really a good experience because they're completely online. They've only always been online. So they have their methods of reaching out. When I decided to do this doctorate and choose Walden, I was in Jamaica that weekend after the panel. So after sitting on the panel, delivering my portion, getting to network with others, I called Walden.
Wow.
And they contacted me in Jamaica. They sent the resources I needed to be able to have that conversation. I didn't have to be in the US. Sometimes I'm in Rome. Sometimes I'm in Cayman. I do a lot of traveling with my husband, and it was very convenient. I have my chair's phone number. It's okay to send him a text, give him a call. Email is also wonderful, or Zoom. So the best part of the entire program was accessibility. Being accessible, meeting those, and I'm a Christian, want to say that, meeting those professors that had the same faith as me, and they weren't afraid to talk about it. You know, how would that come up?
Beautiful.
It does come up when you're a Christian. When you,
it does come up.
It's important to you, it comes up.
It comes up.
Just the guidance that way. But there were also challenges. The challenges came during the dissertation process.
Let's talk about that, because a lot of people think, how is it different? I tell people, sorry, this process is very different than any other academic process.
Experienced anything like this.
Tell me about it.
Wow, it tests your mettle. It tests your fortitude and your grit. Many times I felt like this was never going to happen. I never felt like giving up, but I felt like I could possibly be that student with an ABD. I felt like there's so many no's, so many, this is not the way, so many opportunities to be confused about the entire process and no clear direction. Now, when I worked with Dr. Kesslin, she made me aware that I was a high C. Like, I didn't know what that was. Extremely high C. And the disadvantage of that, Dr. Kesslin told me, so there's strengths to it, but the disadvantage would be doing things timidly. When you're not sure, just standing still to try to figure this out. It's very cautious sometimes.
So let me give some context to the high C. One of the first steps that I take with most of my clients is I give them an assessment so they can understand who they are, and then we connect what their behavioral and communication styles are, and then we connect it to how this impacts their progress through this dissertation process. So Tiffany, Dr. McBean, is a very structured, high-functioning, structured person. And when there is structure, she is full steam ahead. When there's less structure, it's a challenge.
That's what a dissertation is.
Yes.
No structure. That's what
there's unstructured structure. Yes.
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 Unstructured structure. I like that. There's
Yes.
unstructured structure. So every day figuring out the components of my writing and research. And it seemed as if it changed based on research questions,
Yes.
methodology, the
Yes.
topic. It was a lot. And so emotionally, I had to deal with feeling inadequate, feeling as if I was not cut out for this,
Mm-hmm.
feeling
Mm-hmm.
as if this is the end of the road for me. This is as far as I can go. Now,
Yeah.
looking at other students receiving their doctorate, defending, going on to the proposal stage, doing all these things, I'm in a community of other people who are doing a doctorate or have completed, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with me? Oh, and
Yeah.
then I want to point the finger. It's perhaps not me, it's perhaps my chair. I was like, oh my goodness, so many uncomfortable moments. The pointing the finger never works.
Mm-hmm.
You can point the finger all you want. So I had to get to that point with thinking, okay, what about me do I need to address?
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Kesslin, I'm telling you, when you did that with me and I walked through your program, even when I exited the program, it was finished, you were still a support to me. I could call and
Absolutely.
say, I'm confused about this. And we could address that. I could do that internal work that
Yes.
got me ready to continue researching and writing.
I'm so glad. I tell people I do more. I mean, it is a business, but it's a ministry for me. And I am honored that you would call and say, I know I'm not, can you help me with this? Absolutely. I remember, and I won't go into all the details, Dr. McBean, but even just before you defended,
I was going to talk about that.
there
May I
was a conversation.
I
And
mean, my proposal is done, my prospectus is finished, everything aligned. I got my findings. What could be the problem now, Tiffany? What could be the problem now? And I had still problems. It was the internal work of, am I really ready? Do I
Mhm.
know what I know?
Mhm.
They talk about imposter syndrome, but
Yes.
you do know what you know. And I had to first figure out where my fear came from.
Mhm.
What
Yes.
was the problem? I'm ready to defend. And your chair, if you're listening to this podcast and you're at that place where you're ready to defend, that's because your chair knows you're ready.
You're ready.
So
You're ready.
how could I then hear that I'm ready and not feel ready? So
Mhm.
after finding out why I was afraid, I had the answer. Then I called Dr. Kesslin and I said, Dr. K, I'm afraid because, and I
Yes.
told her. And her response to me, I'll never forget it. I'll
Mm.
never forget it. She was able to let me know that those feelings were significant, valid, and it happened to others. It wasn't an isolated case with me.
Mhm.
And so she gave me options. She let me know these are the possible things, and these are the things that occur with doctoral candidates who are ready to defend. And after defending, these are the other things that happen. And of course, I'm structured, high C. I want to see the pathway before. And having gone on before, she was able to clarify that for me. And now, armed with this information, I could then address my fear. Because it's okay to be afraid. It's
Absolutely.
okay to be afraid, but do you have the tools to deal with that fear so you can still be effective in the midst of that until there is no fear?
Yeah. I am so I am just so proud of you. I am just so proud of you. I truly am. I am honored to call you Dr. McBean. Honored. Honored. So last thing before we jump off. Any pearls of wisdom? I mean, you've been sharing so many pearls of wisdom throughout the show, but any pearls of wisdom for those who are thinking about getting a doctorate or maybe they're in a doctoral program? What words of wisdom would you give in the last
If,
minute or so?
if you're thinking of doing a doctorate, do it. It's not going to be easy. Know that upfront. Maybe the easiest part of the program will be the reading and doing the courses.
Yes.
While you're doing the courses, create a product. So for every course that I took, every assignment that I did, I tailored it to a need. I tailored it to a market. So if you're thinking about doing the doctorate, go for it. 100%. Give yourself permission. Dr. K and I are giving you permission to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it. Listen, if there's a thought or desire that's in your heart and it's the end result is good, then you should strongly consider doing that good thing, because only a good person would give you that thought, right?
True. I've learned to take myself out of the equation when fear comes in. We all are given a talent. We all meet some need somewhere. But if fear stops us from doing it, then those needs aren't met and those people aren't served.
Absolutely.
I learned to take myself out of the equation and focus on the bigger picture whenever fear arises. And for those who are in the doctorate already, my pearl of wisdom is similar to what Dr. K says: persist. It is not a degree of intelligence. We are intelligent. We know that. We already know that.
Yes.
But we have to persist. We have to get down into the grit and the rigor and push. There are several obstacles that you're going to meet along the way. Practice mindfulness. Be aware of how you're feeling and why you're feeling that way. Address it and then move. Do it.
Yeah. I want to thank you, Dr. McBean. This has been amazing. I appreciate your time with me today and loved calling you Dr. McBean.
Thank you.
May God bless you and continue to be with you. For the rest of you, thank you so much for joining us for this show, this special series of Doctor in Residence, a special series of doing the doctorate. I thank you. Please remember, the doctoral degree, it's not merely a degree of intelligence. It is a degree of persistence. And we at the PhD Consultants are here to help you persist. Why? Because your research matters. It matters. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Follow, subscribe, like, share, email. Go to the website for free resources, www.drkesslin.com. Thanks much. I'll see you next time. Love you, Mom and Dad. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.